I am Geoffrey in the Kingdom of Sweden campaign from 1648, 30 Years of War, a Kingdom's total conversion mod for Medieval 2, Total War by Infractor. We are in the month of October 1631. Most of the campaign episodes were from this year, and it was an amazing year. In fact, it took me 2 years of episodes to cover just this 1 year of campaign gameplay. You may remember from the last episode that the Imperialists were besieging once again Dresden. If you do not remember it, do not worry, I had also forgotten it. The last episode was quite a while back. The Imperialist army is sizable with plenty of pikemen, including 2 Imperial Tertio pike companies, perfect for a siege. It is important that we do not give them a chance to assault the walls, so we have to sally out.
My king! Orders, Kaiser! Ja, mein Kaiser!
Leonard von Brandenburg was on a ship on the River Oder, and he comes over with a small relief force.
As you command! Your will, sire. Sire. As you wish. Combining forces, sire.
2 more companies come to the relief of Dresden from Meissen. Adam von Zimmern commands the garrison that includes a mortar battery and many veteran post-reform pikemen and musketeers. The Imperialist army is commanded by a 6-star general called Philip Jung.
An order, my lord. We shall slaughter them, my lord!
Let us hope we can see some good tactics from him. He had brought a decent army with him, but with the arrival of our reinforcements, the odds are now against him.
Leave your mercy behind, men! We shall utterly crush them!
So the garrison is sallying out on one side, and over here are the reinforcements under Leonard von Brandenburg. And here's our enemy, the Imperialist army, besieging us. There's some pikemen in the foreground and some cavalry in the far distance. And the cavalry is skirmishing towards our sally out. It seems that the Imperialists have already suffered some casualties. They are sending some light units forward this way. There are some rubble, also known as turncoats. Here's our army sallying out in a big hurry. And this is Adam von Zimmern here. The enemy cavalry has decided to go back, but the turncoats are moving forward. Our musketeers on the walls are shooting at anyone coming this way, and they are keeping a brisk rate of fire up. Here we have some grenadiers, and the rabble that are approaching have been pummeled with fireworks. But they push on, and they have been joined by some Italian writers. They push on regardless, despite being pummeled with grenades and some of the Star Fort artillery. Star Fort artillery keeps firing. We have already deployed, and we have probably been joined at this point by the relief force. You can see some archers here in the foreground. They came with the relief force. The Italian Reiters are moving forward. They were being hit by the garrison salient and by the Starfort artillery, and they've decided to head back. But the turncoats are moving forward. This is one thing that's not as good as it could be. Despite the AI having a general, it's still attacking piecemeal. I don't know if this is a problem with the general or if it is a problem with the AI. So the turncoats have been pummeled by cannon shots from the Starfort artillery, but they're not giving up. This seems like a suicide mission. Finally, they have been broken. They thought better of it and are heading back to join their comrades. And the Imperialists make another attempt, another attack with their Italian Reiters. Again, very isolated attack, and they've been turned back. The Imperialists have been suffering harrowing casualties. By now you can see they're dead, strewn on the snow in front of the Starfort. The mercenary pikemen of the Imperialists with the flag of the Kaiser move forward. Let's see what they will do, and the mortar battery has opened fire now, the approaching pikemen. We have one of the Imperial tertiary companies here, but they have been massacred by fire from the garrison. Not to mention the mortar that is firing explosive shells. And the Imperial tertiary unit has been cut down to a man. They did not retreat, they died to a man, or executed to a man, really. The mercenary pikemen think better of it, seeing the Imperial tertiary scattered on the ground, with all the men dead, and so they retreat. They've also suffered very heavy casualties. Probably half their men have died. And they joined their flag bearer, I suppose. He stayed behind. They keep being pummeled by mortar fire. Another unit of pikemen moves forward. They are being executed. Most of their men are dead by now. They've been decimated. Hardly have a dozen men left. They keep marching on. Okay, they've also died to a man. And another unit of the Imperial Tertio is marching forward along with another unit of pikemen. No, they've made up their mind to go back. It is very unfortunate that the AI cannot move forward in a more coordinated way. How they all moved forward at the same time in some kind of decent formation. Even if they were under fire, at least they would have gone past this place. But like this, sending a unit at a time, all our fire is concentrated on that unit. And so one by one, their pike units perish. Now they're sending some cavalry forward again. This could be their general. Grenadiers are ready to throw grenades at them. It does look as if this is the Imperialist general's bodyguard. They've opened fire from the distance with their carbines, but they don't have much of a chance. They are being massacred. And here's the Imperialist commander, the Imperialist general, Philip Jung. He's dressed up as Gustavus Adolphus. He's left with just two companions, the ensign and one more of his bodyguards, the two ensigns in fact. The pikemen have caught up. They're being pummeled with fireworks.
Good tidings. The enemy general lies dead. We've sent the base cur to hell. Units, march!
And the enemy commander, Philip Jung, has been slain. On seeing their general dead, the few pikemen that were still alive run back. The Imperial Tertia Company is making a comeback. They're left with about a couple dozen men out of about 150 or so. And they're broken once again. And so the enemy has now been decimated. Most of the enemy army is strewn dead on the ground. Our post-reform musketeers keep up a high rate of fire. Their high attack is meant to represent the fact that they were trained to fire by rank, and the Swedish musketeers also trained to fire in volleys, and so they were more effective. Our mortars keep firing at the approaching pikemen. This is hopeless now. They all attacked in a more coordinated way, at least they might have had a chance. So So these pikemen are also hit by fireworks now. They have decent morale. They've not retreated. They're pushing on. In fact, their ensign is pushing on, and you can see here the balance of power has shifted very much in our favor. It was almost even at the beginning. So here's that lone ensign. There he is. He's just been broken. He actually has a companion with him, and he's dead. The companion's picked up the flag and is running off the battlefield, and he has been slain. And so it seems there's nothing left of our enemy except dead bodies strewn on the snow. Okay, he's got still a couple of companies left. So here's another company of rubble, renamed as turncoats. They look more like rubble since they're only holding some simple pole arms and not pikes, and have no armor save for their helmets, and they cannot form pike block. In the beginning of the war, there weren't any proper pike and sword units in many of the duchies, and so they employed raw recruits, and they had to learn the ropes. And so at the beginning, they were very undisciplined, and so rubble was a fitting term for those early units. In fact, some people call them just that. Dismissively, they call them rubble. So now it seems the enemy is making a slightly more concerted effort, but it's far too late. You can see from the minimap the balance of power is totally shifted in our favor to the right. Despite the death of their general, these men are doing okay. They seem very determined. Okay, they lost their ensign, or he switched back to the other side. The other ensign is still holding on to his flag. They're running back. They have not been routed, I think. They're just running back. These pikemen are still moving forward. They are being massacred. They are mercenary pikemen, and they have no reason to die for a hopeless battle, and so they're going back.
The enemy are badly bloodied.
The commentator is late with the news. They have certainly lost a lot more than half their army. There's hardly any units still in good shape in the enemy army. There's maybe 2 or 3 units. These ones here seem to be almost in full strength. They're being fired at by our arquebusiers, and they have posed. They've changed their mind, and they are probably now going home. Here are our arquebusiers, an extremely useful unit to to my mind, one of the best units in the game. And they are harassing the retreating enemy.
Behold how our cowardly foe runs.
And the battle is over. Our enemy is broken. So our generals are here now, both of them. Leonard von Brandenburg and Adam von Fars-Zimmern, and they've joined up with the Hakebusiers collecting prisoners.
All of Christendom will be awed by the victory we have won here today.
Adam von Fars-Zimmern has won an astounding victory, destroying the numerically superior besieging army while losing only 10 men. One unit of Parsifal musketeers killed 1,478 men. Their attack of 20 is obviously too high. I will be decreasing that to about 15 for my next campaign. Another musket company killed over 700 men and the grenadiers another 200. We put the captives up for ransom.
Poised to ambush, sire.
Ransom us! It is efficient!
The Kaiser does not ransom the prisoners, so they have to work on the construction projects in Dresden, or they have to be pressed into Swedish service, whichever they prefer. They were mostly turncoats anyway. Fun fact. Recent research suggests that at the Battle of Lutzen, most of the men in the Swedish brigades were actually not Swedish, but German. Adam von Fars-Zimmern has gained in rank. Before moving on to November, here is Werker von Dörgitz, the Duke of Pomerania and Governor of Weimar. Gustavus Adolphus is rebuilding some damaged buildings in newly conquered Erfurt. And here is Magdeburg. I live about a mile to the south of that cathedral with a high bell tower. And we are off to the month of November 1631. There is an event indicating the spawning of heretics. The Duchy of Württemberg has helpfully gone to war with the Duchy of Bavaria. The damaged buildings of Erfurt have been repaired by Gustavus Adolphus. Graf Horn has received new supplies, unlike Georg von Brandenburg-Bayreuth in Silesia, who is foraging, which has made him immoral. I must correct the spelling of moral into morale. Johann Banner and Hermann von Wrangel, two historical generals, have both increased their chivalry by being noble in rule. Our spies are also gaining experience. We have nothing to lose using spies, as Gustavus Adolphus has maxed out on dread. The Kingdom of Sweden is again the strongest faction after our last victory in Dresden. The Landgraviate of Bremen is surviving in Eutin, near Denmark.
Your Majesty, always happy to deal with you, trusted friends.
In the meantime, one of our diplomats contacts the Danish on an important mission.
I accept this. You have further proposals? Please, let us hear them.
He offers an attack on rebels that pleases the Danish and puts them in a good mood. His real mission is to secure Arensberg from them. We need Arensberg to fulfill the victory conditions. So he offers attacks on the Archduchy of Austria and Poland-Lithuania, as well as a tribute of 2,000 florins per turn for 10 turns in exchange for Arensberg. The Danish do not seem to take to the idea. We increase the tribute to 3,000 gulden per turn for 10 turns.
You insult us by even suggesting such a thing.
The Danish seem to think this was a joke, but at least remain in good cheer. The alternative is to go to war, so they will just have to settle for the right price. They want Rhone and Malmö in exchange for Arensberg, but we also need Rhone for our victory conditions, and Malmö is a major military base. Our diplomat increases the annual tribute to 4,000 gulden and no attacks, in case that worries them because they now have a treaty with the Kaiser.
This seems quite reasonable.
The Danish agree, surprisingly, as the proposal was rated as very demanding. They seem pleased in the end.
That seemed fruitful. Farewell.
Where is Arensberg? So, here is Arensberg, a town on an island in Estonia. It is garrisoned by a large army of expensive cuirassiers. The inhabitants do not seem happy of coming under Swedish control, so we will have to lower taxes. Arensberg seems to have also suffered some civil unrest because the city's bell foundry has been damaged and needs to be repaired. We will also need to improve public order by building some appropriate buildings. Building an inn will help. It will only take 2 turns, and municipal authorities another 3. Hopefully that will be enough. We will need to hold on to the expensive cuirassiers for now to maintain public order. Also, the Danish seem to have a sizable army still in the area, so we should stay on our watch. We'll send a ship to pick up those cuirassiers and bring them over to Germany, where they are needed for our campaign.
Yes, noble sire.
They can be replaced by militia eventually.
Aye, sire. A fine day to sail. We'll drop anchor until morning, sire.
It looks like our ship will need another 2 turns to get to Arensberg. So that's 2 months. 2 months to sail to Estonia. So here are again the Siebenbürgers in Bohemia, still roaming about, doing actually very little.
The pleasure is mine, noble ally. How can we help?
There is another settlement we need for our victory conditions, Libau in Livonia, controlled by another one of our allies.
I accept this with the utmost pleasure. Something else? Das ist gut.
The Protestant Union. Our diplomat to the Archduchy of Austria, to the Kaiser, Olaf Bengtsson, offers an attack on Poland-Lithuania, which pleases the ambassador of the Protestant Union. We next offer an attack on the Archduchy of Austria and the rebels, as well as tribute of 2,000 gold for 10 turns in exchange for Libau. The proposal is again ranked as very demanding. So we increase the tribute to 3,000 gold per turn. Still very demanding.
Agreed. I accept your proposal.
But the Protestant Union agrees anyway.
Our talks have been most worthwhile. Guten Tag.
So, Money talks, and diplomacy makes sense, because the alternative would have been to go to war with our allies, which would have made less sense from a historical point of view. Gustavus Adolphus threatened Prussia-Brandenburg with war at one point if they did not support his campaign, but we cannot be sure he would have actually carried out his threat and attacked them had they not agreed. So here's Libau. The Protestant Union seemingly only had a general for garrison. We lower the tax rate. The garrison consists of generals' bodyguards and halberdiers, which should not be too expensive at least. Back in Arensberg, we are recruiting some militia and a general for its garrison. Thank you for watching.